Morning.
How much is this?
149, sir.
I've got 50p. Fuck you, bastard.
Okay, Nier savers, you can soon escape your never-ending spiral of saving and coping. Today we'll finally cover A2, one of the 3 limited characters debuting in the Nier Automata collaboration in the upcoming Untold Naraka update. And if you don't want to miss future PGR guides and videos, don't forget to subscribe, and if you make any corrections or forget to mention something, it'll be the pinned comment down below. Glory to mankind.
こちら 2B 問題ない
A2 is a tank construct that deals purely physical damage and features defense shred, crowd control, and anger issues. And in this video, I'll cover her skills, passives, ascensions, her team, playstyle, rotation, builds, weapons, and my overall pull and build recommendations. And if you want to see a specific topic, timestamps are provided. Going through her kit, her basic attack string deals physical damage in melee range and hits charge her shield/spear gauge, which I'll cover in a bit. And her QTE is a string of attacks that deal physical damage to an enemy. A2's red orb rapidly swings her spear, dealing physical damage, and if this is a 3-orb matrix ping, she briefly enhances her next basic attack, increasing its damage and charging her shield/spear gauge while knocking down enemies. Her blue orb is the bread and butter of her kit. She drops down a black hole, dealing physical damage and constantly dragging in enemies in a large AoE, and this is also her swamping attack. And her yellow orb just does 4 rapid wide swings, dealing physical damage. Now let's talk about the shield/spear gauge that I keep mentioning. Basically, the spear gauge indicates A2's bonus shield gained by using abilities or basic attacks, and is the basis for both her core passive and ultimate. I'll refer to it as the shield/spear gauge in this video. And with A2's core passive, when using 3-orb matrix pings, A2's pod fires missiles that deal physical damage, and she gains a shield. And these missiles reduce the enemy defense by 20% on hit, but it's usually 40% because 2B and 9S should be on the team. And 3-orb matrix pings can also charge her shield/spear gauge. And the spear gauge can also be charged by sliding, which can be done by holding down the sprint key and moving forward. And this also drags enemies. And when the shield or spear gauge is full, A2 can activate her ultimate, putting her into berserk state, which slowly starts to drain her shield/spear gauge. And then when the gauge is depleted, it starts draining her HP instead, until she's at 60% HP. You can also manually deactivate berserk state, but why? Also note that you cannot enter it for another 10 seconds after exiting this state. And what's the benefit of berserk state? Well, she gains increased basic attack speed, 30% increased damage, increased movement speed, super armor within the duration, 60% damage reduction, and 3-orb matrix pings will have extra physical damage effect. So basically, berserk form is pretty strong. Her berserk state persists off field, draining her shield/spear gauge continuously until the gauge is depleted, in which case A2 exits berserk state. As for her leader passive, when 2B and 9S are on the team, everyone gains physical damage and has increased dodge meter. As for her Ascensions, at SS, she enters the field with 50% shield/spear gauge, allowing her to ult instantly with her 6-star weapon. More importantly, as long as A2 is in her berserk state, it allows the pod to periodically fire missiles every few seconds, even off field, enabling 100% uptime on the defense shred. And it also gives the Nier team an additional 10% physical damage boost when A2 is in her berserk state. At SS, damage is decreased by 70% to enemies in her blue orb, but more importantly, equivalent to Rosetta's SS, A2 can now achieve 100% defense shred instead of the 60% from base, and her pod deals additional damage. And finally, at SS+, A2's ult can last longer with the HP threshold reduced, but the main benefit here is that her spear gauge drains slower and her damage is increased by additional 10%. As for my rank recommendations, I'll cover the pull and build recommendations section of the video, because that's a whole essay in itself. As for builds, for 5-star memories, you can probably run 4-piece IF and 2-piece Voltaire, and A2 has 2 primary 6-star memory builds depending on her investment. The meta and recommended one is the 4-piece Patton on the top row and 2-piece Catherine on the bottom row to achieve the 60% to 100% defense shred depending on her rank. You can also pull off the original Patton set from Alpha and re-resonate it onto A2, and you can farm more Pattons in the new event shop. The build for SS solo carry A2 can also utilize 2-piece Frederick instead of Catherine, but this is only for and limited to SS solo carry A2, which I'll further explain in the pull and build recommendation at the end of the video. And Frederick will also be in the event shop if you want to farm it. And as for resonance, attack and crit on the top row, and class skill on the bottom row, the usual for tanks. And now more accessible with the introduction of those resonator selector USBs. And as for hypertune, prioritize the bottom row first, and then you can choose to do the top row after. As for A2's playstyle rotations, for base Nier, an example rotation is starting with A2, getting into her ultimate ASAP, and then burning all the orbs in A2 to keep her spear gauge high, and then when she's out of orbs, swapping into 2B to perform 3-orb matrix pings to proc A2's QTE, and then another set of 3-orb matrix pings to proc the 4-piece Da Vinci set, which will proc A2's QTE again, and then ending it with 2B's ultimate. then quickly swap into 9S to pump some 3-orb pings and reduce the switching cooldown for A2, and then swap back to A2, who should still be in berserk state if performed correctly. Burn her orbs, and when she's out, repeat the rotation again. Basically, whatever it takes to proc A2's QTE twice, either with 2B or 9S. And the reason we use this double A2 QTE technique is because A2's QTE pauses her spear gauge, but it's not easy, and sometimes orb RNG really messes you up, but it maintains A2's ultimate and saves animation time. And at double S, this is even more important since it keeps A2's pod defense down debuff up 100% of the time as well. And the timing window is tight, but it gets easier with practice or with Ascension and weapon investments into 9S. For triple S A2 solo carry, it's pretty simple. You kind of just keep A2 on the field, and the others are basically QTE bots. And I'll get into the difference more when we reach the pull and build recommendations section of the video. And as for team comps, you want A2 on the yellow slot since with their 6-star weapon, you won't be proccing the yellow orbs anyways, and 9S and 2B can fill whichever other slots. You'll want to set A2 as a starter here and 2B as a leader for the cheaper ultimate cost. And it should be fairly obvious, but try not to run Nier with any other constructs. If you don't run Nier together, they're severely crippled in terms of synergy buffs. And as for weapon selection, A2 comes with the free 5-star weapon, so that's great for free to play. Her 6-star or signature weapon is highly recommended if you're a monthly pass spender or more, and it gives A2 a charge attack, basically triggered by dodging and then holding the basic attack. It gives her a quick way to charge her spear gauge while generating orbs. It also consumes yellow orbs, which adds more physical damage and buffs the physical damage for A2. It's also a huge help for sorting your orbs by clearing out all the yellow orbs in your bar. And on top of that, it lets A2 enter her ultimate at 40% spear gauge and gives her a 10% attack buff. So basically, it's freaking stacked. Not that she wasn't stacked already, if you know what I mean. And finally, the moment you all been waiting for, my pull and build recommendations. Oh boy. Okay, so before we dive into this, note that you cannot farm Pain Cage for Nier characters for double S, and Nier will get rerun later, but just no free characters given out during the rerun. 9S is given for free in a login event, and you can farm 50 shards or 1 copy of A2 from this event, and 2B is gacha only. The Nier gacha uses collab tickets and refunds 750 event gacha tickets after 10 pulls, and upgrading them to double S and triple S gives you 30 to 60 shards respectively. I also want to clear the misconception of skipping Nier, because just why? You're giving 2 out of 3 S ranks for free, so just pull 2B to have a strong S rank team at your disposal. An S-rank team is still an S-rank team, just with 5-star weapons if you don't pull their weapons. In order to sum up what to pull, I've made a visual diagram, so free-to-play players should at least get 2B and then maybe pull A2 to get her double S, or her weapon. And 2B is minimum to have for the Nier team to function, so again, do not skip my girl unless you want to wait for a rerun, which may come whenever. Pulling A2, and then getting her 50 free shards from the event will give her double S, and it's a solid upgrade for the constant defense shred. Think of it as like the Rosetta double S, and if you plan to go past S on A2, then please pull her from the gacha first. For monthly players, pull 2B, double S A2, and the weapon if you can, for an enhanced regular Nier team. Her weapon is stacked and worth pulling if you can afford it. For Dolphins, aka spending past the monthly pass, you want 2B, and then triple S A2 from getting some from the RC shard bundles, and then her weapon of course. And like I explained in the gameplay section, A2 will be the solo carry here. And then for whale players, you want to first pull 2B, triple S A2, get their weapon, and then go for double S 9S, and then get his weapon, and then aim for triple S 2B, and then get her weapon, and then whale to heart's content all the way to triple S plus. But again, everyone's black card situation is different, so please do not spend out your own means. You're not going to die without triple S A2, contrary to what some people may say. And for those comparing Nier to Alpha and Rosetta physical teams, free-to-play players with 5-star weapons on S-Rank Alpha and Rosetta should have an equivalent strength team with base S-Rank Nier with their 5-star weapons. And if you have double S Rosetta and double S Alpha and their signature weapon, then in terms of burst damage against a base S-Rank Nier team, obviously Alpha and Rosetta are going to be stronger here since they have higher ranks and have their signature weapons. With a triple S rank A2 and her weapon, they'll become more similar in damage with A2's 100% defense shred. But even a base S-Rank Nier team with 5-star weapons will be appreciated in future Norman and Babel modes, which will want multiple invested teams anyways. The main difference is that double S Alpha and Rosetta with their signature weapon excels in burst damage scenarios like Pain Cage. Alpha has access to quick burst damage for Frederick and Sword Wave, and Rosetta has high base defense shred. Adversely, base Nier's defense shred is much lower and A2 lacks the burst damage, being locked to pattern. But when it comes to longer sustained fights like Warzone, a similar invested Nier team such as a double S or triple S A2 with her signature weapon the Nier team will perform better with A2's more consistent grouping and no downtime with the Nier team rotation. Nier has the advantage of higher synergy, so the team's rotation flows a lot smoother in gameplay. 2B reduces the enemy's attack, A2 provides groupings and survivability that other units can't even dream of replicating, and 9S actually does a decent job of doing damage unlike B-Liv, making Nier the preferred team in Warzone mob-like content, and especially competitive with more investment. A whaled out Nier team will outclass an Alpha and Rosetta whale team. But the takeaway here is that basically they're both good and excel in different scenarios, so do not discount any of them. And lastly, remember that Nier does get a rerun, so no need to crack out the loan just yet. There may be some details that I missed since there was a lot to cover in this video, so I'll leave in the pinned comment down below if they're worth mentioning. If you have any further questions, drop in the comments or join the Discord at discord.io/AutomataUtomata. I'll try to respond if I'm not busy. And hey, 2 more characters left to cover, so subscribe so you don't miss future guides and videos, and you found this video informative, drop a like, a dislike if you didn't. And what do you mean I made the A2 guide first just to say that joke? But seriously, that was a long ass video and I'm tired of shit and I still gotta start the next video. So who needs sleep, am I right? I'm gonna be in pain. Anyways, thanks for watching, peace late, I'll see you on the next video.